And I really didn't know. I grew up a child of the 60s, so I grew up during the Vietnam War, and it really didn't affect me.
Right.
My family, I mean, my grandfather was in the military, and that's another story. What exactly I'm not sure of, but he was in the military, so I had become the secretary for the Ladies Auxiliary of the American Legion up in Pennsylvania. And at that time, I had written a little letter to the editor, and it was published in the Harrisburg paper. And it says, it's titled Generations Will Follow. The poppies are blooming again. Year after year, the poppies appear, people putting money in a can, walking on, most not even knowing why. Repetition, tradition, a fact of life. In France, on Flanders fields, poppies grow on grave sites. Those graves encase humans who believed in the United States of America. They died fighting for our rights and freedom. These poppies represent our remembrance of all the brave men and women who died fighting for our country. At some time, everyone has to stand up for what they believe and run the risk of rejection and ridicule. If we learn the lessons well, we'll be able to tolerate rejection, and our self-esteem will be enhanced in the process. If we do not stay positive, rejection will devastate our dignity, and it is impossible to be happy without a strong self-respect. Unless you've fought for survival, you do not know the depths you will go to survive. Sometimes guilt plays a part, enhanced by the ignorant attitude of people who consider themselves above reproach. Some men and women are homeless. Some end up in veterans' hospitals. The money collected in those cans are used to support these people who fought for the freedom a lot of us take for granted. What about all the people listed as POW MIA? Prisoners of war, missing in action. Are we still looking at the issue with ignorance, or is the true knowledge too devastating to be known by all? Ignorance might be bliss, but doing nothing when the truth is known is intolerable. Hopefully our children will never have to learn firsthand the ravages of war. Instill in them that we learn from our mistakes, to right the wrongs, to forgive, that they will not be forgotten or left behind unaccounted for should another war occur. Teach them that we are all created equal. We are brothers and sisters. Do not undermine another's insight because you cannot see their vision. Instead, seek what you can do for the betterment of humanity. When someone is down, hold out your hand and help them up. Only when we help others can we help ourselves. Remember, when we teach our young, generations will follow. Well, thank you.
Great. First
Thank
time
you.
I've heard that.
That I had written, and it was in '96, so that was before, in between the Gulf War and the war that we're in now, and it was printed in the paper when I was in the psychiatric hospital.
They could probably print that every year.
Yeah.
It would still.
It would still, right,
For everybody.
right. But it was, it was going through when I had gone through a really dark time in my life, when I had gone off the dark side of the world, and I lived with a death wish. Oh, there we go. That's one of those where, can you put it on that photo? Matt, can you put it on, just that photo? Oh, you missed it. Okay, no biggie, no biggie. This is the Veterans Union reunion down in Melbourne, Florida. There's another photo of it, and it just reminded me of my children. That's not my children, but it was just that's the America that I love. Where you can eat an ice cream cone and you have the flags, and it's like, do we really respect what those flags stand for? That's a big part of it.
I think after 9/11, it became even more prominent that we do, and we all, don't you find that?
I think
changed.
so, and that was one thing when out of bad there's always good, and that was one thing about 9/11 is that we as a country did come together in love. And unfortunately, that seems to be the norm, that we only come together
after disaster.
Right.
It's the same thing with your personal life, isn't it?
Right. Right. And there again, you have Katrina, you have the fires out there. We see all these natural disasters that are happening where people are losing everything.
Right.
And I can relate to the loss of everything because, you really, who am I? What am I? This was the march, the photos that you guys are seeing. This is part of the march. And it was the last patrol. And as long as there is someone still missing, there's a patrol still out looking for that. And in the march, that's Michael J. Martin. He was what they called the head maggot. He was the organizer. They had organized a march from Texas, from the Alamo to Washington, D.C. That's Chrissy Noel. She was an actress out in Hollywood. And she had gone over to support the troops, to entertain the troops during the Vietnam War. And when she came back, she was pretty much blacklisted. She couldn't get another movie deal. And she had done movies with Elvis Presley. So she wasn't, I mean, yeah, she was a really good actress. So she was on this march also. She has a home for homeless veterans down in Florida, Vetsville, down in West Palm Beach. And this was in, where was this? This was in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. We were arrested in South Carolina. I know,
One of your few, no.
Well, no, I really wasn't
No, I
arrested.
know,
I mean, yes, I was arrested. I've been arrested 3 times in my life. Maybe spent 24 hours, but it's an education. Hey, I know what I'm talking about. But we were arrested, and that was the only time that we made national media, was when we were arrested. And it's so
That's
sad
what
that
happens.
media, will only, like, there's some photos when we had done the march across the Dames Point Bridge, and we had gone past the point of no return when it started raining, and it's a metal bridge, and there's people who were walking on this, and it was pretty dramatic. But there weren't oh, you like my praying mantis? There weren't any
What's that have to do with it? Just picture?
Oh yeah, that's just a praying
Neat,
mantis
rare.
that is like, I mean, we have to do a lot of praying nowadays. You're blessed if you have one that comes to visit you in your yard.
And you
See,
had
it's
one
over
in your
your
yard?
shoulder.
See, I have a visitor.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. So let's see. I'm losing a lot of train of thought, but that doesn't matter.
you weren't.
And
You're
that's a
focused.
big part of this show. You know why I like being a producer?
Why?
Because I get to do the show however I want.
That's right.
That's
It's
a
your
big
show.
part. It's my show.
And I tag along for the fun, for the roller coaster
But that's
ride.
it. I mean, we had planned on doing it, we're going to do it this way. And if I was playing a god in my life, I would be a very unhappy person because I want it done this way and it's not. I mean, okay, we're doing the film industry. Okay, what happened to the guest? What are we going to
but
do?
we felt like this was even more important for
It
now.
is. It's
The film
even,
industry is always getting a lot of attention.
they're
isn't it?
always getting a lot of attention.
I mean, even the news, you find they focus on the good stuff for 10 minutes, or not even,
Not
5
even,
minutes,
yeah.
or 2 minutes, and then the horrible fires get a half hour of, and people's devastation.
Yeah, I had said about what was it? The most popular story of today is what rape murder of a child. Most popular story.
I can't even watch the news.
I
really
get
hard.
I
It's
get
really
one
depressing.
station and it's like I like to keep up.
I mean, I like to know too, but it's so depressing.
It is.
We're having a new moon in Scorpio. It just happened, everybody.
Oh yeah,
Very
Lots
exciting.
of really good stuff going
Well, it's
on.
going to be intense. So
Yeah.
anybody born today, yesterday, or the next day.
Warning! You
You're
are being watched.
That's so Scorpio. Wow, who did that? You?
I did it. Yeah.
Hey, how'd you? I must have known. I just said that about Scorpio right as you said you're being watched. Not that all Scorpios are obsessive compulsive beasts. It's a good thing too.
Oh yeah,
Very
These
intense.
are still some. I love photography.
I know.
love
So do I. I do
capturing
too.
that split second.
Oh,
and,
look, now
and
what's
these
this?
are some more of the march, and that was an intense march. We were called the Last Patrol, but we ended up getting the nickname of the Lost Patrol. And that was because no one could find us. After we were arrested, we ended up going to Columbia and walking around the Capitol, and Governor Beasley never got reelected. And we had
Why'd you
gotten a
get
pardon
arrested? What
for
was-
walking on 95.
Oh, that was it. Just for walking.
Yeah. We had gotten quite a few declarations, Operation Thunderstorm, where it was like, okay, cool, done. North Carolina, they were really cool, really cool. We had parades in some towns where people came out. And hey, we think that you're doing a great job. And then we went to veterans homes and to veterans hospitals. I'm sorry, and to talk to the patients. And that's one of our guests today. Our very own Carl is going to be joining us
Oh, good.
later on. He's a veteran, and he just got out of the Veterans Hospital. So we're really lucky that he's even here to join us.
I think he just
was,
discharged and got here, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Speaking of, come on in. Yay, Carl.
Oopsie. Hi, Carl.
Oh, hello.
How
are you?
How are you feeling?
Shaky.
Are you?
I'm gonna get you
Yeah.
on the screen
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, well we're gonna get Carl in. You really
Yeah,
can't
go
see. That
So
was
just-
we had some officers who were guarding us. This is that bridge I was telling you about in Florida when we were going across the bridge, and it was started raining and we couldn't turn back and it's it's really what does a person have to do in order to make people aware of. Now I'm sure that you can help us with the veterans hospitals.
Well, what you said earlier was very true, is that unless it has the old sayings, if it bleeds, it leads. And so if a veteran goes bananas and kills 3 people in a veterans hospital with an automatic weapon, I guarantee they will get more coverage than they have in the last 2 years with all the
that's-
veterans who have been in the VA hospitals.
Yeah.
And so that unfortunately that's the way the media works. The media goes with sensationalism
Right.
and doesn't deal with a lot of the veterans who are coming in, and that for a lot of them, the VA serves a number of roles. It's they know they're around other veterans, and so there's no real issue as to the fact that they're a veteran, because not all veterans think alike. I mean, everybody thinks if you're a veteran, therefore you are conservative, or you are this, or you are that. No, I mean it's a cross section of the population, just like everybody else. But if you're in the VA hospital, there's a sense of I know all of these people, even though I've never met them. I know how they think. I know how they talk to each other, and I feel comfortable. And there's a comfort factor.
Right, there must
Because
be,
There's a
right.
huge comfort factor that goes with being in the VA hospital. The second thing is that the VA hospital the VA system has really trying to make an effort to be available to the veterans. And one of the things I was doing before I came to Asheville is that you've heard about Agent Orange and
Right.
other items from Vietnam. The list of items that are specifically covered, if you've had exposure to them from Vietnam, is about that long in print, and that's in small print.
Right.
But those became about one case at a time, one case at a
Right.
time. And the real issue right now are the National Guard units. When they come home, they have no place to go to. They don't go back to a military base. They go back and they're thrown back into the community. They spend a few days, a week at a military base. They go through discharge, and then they're sent home. Now, for some of them, many of them were never in combat situations. The transition is not that hard. A lot of them were in horrendous situations,
Right.
horrible situations, but they have no support system. They have nobody to turn to. And what they're doing now are post-deployment evaluations, so that if you come back from Iraq or Afghanistan, and we were trying to find out, what have you been exposed to? Were you in a combat situation? Were you exposed to chemicals? Were you exposed to depleted uranium? Were you exposed to bacterial infections that we have no idea what they are? And then 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, you come up with a strange illness that doesn't make any sense for a person your age. And they go, well, geez, I don't know why you got that. Well, could it have been because I was in Iraq?
Right.
Well, now with this emphasis on getting records, they can go back and they can literally click in this person. They know where this person was located. They can go back and find out, is there an abnormal number of people who came from this particular area, who served at this particular time, who are coming down with the same conditions. And so there's irrefutable evidence that there's a connection.
Right.
We don't know what the connection is, but if there is a connection, the VA is responsible for taking care of you.
But how long does all this take when you have a person that's ill and you have to wait until they check out to make sure this is where it came from?
Well, so much of this is that they're not ill when they get home.
Right.
This is
Right,
all
I'm talking about later on,
it's
but
all
still the whole
delayed.
process of being covered is while they're ill,
Well,
right?
No, they automatically are entitled to 2 years of veterans benefits
Okay.
when they come back from Afghanistan, Iraq. And we put them through this to establish a paper trail to follow them when they go through the system. Then, if later on they say something's going on, something's not right here, they can go into the VA and say, I'm having all these strange symptoms, and somebody has, indicated that these symptoms may be related to something. I was exposed to this. In fact, there's a piece of paper that was generated when I got back from Iraq that said I was exposed to this particular chemical, and I'm now asking for help.
Right.
And so what happens is that rather than I as a veteran having to prove that I was exposed, it's the VA who has to prove that I wasn't exposed.
That it wasn't related.
Oh, so it's changing. But what
Yeah.
about somebody from 20 years ago or a different war? Because I know someone right now who's just went through that, proving that it came from there because he's just
Right.
sick now and just finally got accepted
That's
to be covered. But it was iffy if he was going to be
It's
covered.
very iffy. And the benefits are the
yeah.
people now who are getting covered. They're, the struggles that this person,
Right.
your friend you're talking about, the benefits of their struggle are being are being realized
Right.
by the people who are going through it now. But there are a lot of people, they don't even know what they
Right.
were exposed to.
Right, but okay, we're talking about the service personnel,
Right.
the military who has served. But what about generations will follow when you have been exposed to a certain chemical and it affects the
Children.
chromosomes?
Is there a genetic
So
change?
now you have 7 generations of a friend of mine on that march. Her grandchild, her granddaughter, the grandfather had served in Vietnam. The father had served in the Gulf War, and this child has chromosome damage that will continue on for 7 years. Now, they aren't military personnel, but they have a problem because it was caused for a member who was in the military. Why will they also be included in the
Automatically, no.
coverage?
No, it's going to be a fight.
Well, there you go.
It's gonna
And
be a
this,
fight,
and this, right.
and they're gonna need to find other people.
Right.
Who were and when you go through especially the Vietnam Veterans of America or Vietnam Veterans Against the War, you will find people who are looking for someone who served in a certain location in Vietnam during a certain period of time. And the reason they're looking for them is that they want to contact them to say, has this occurred in your
Right.
family?
Wow.
Right.
Have there been birth defects? Have there
Right.
been miscarriages? Have there been other items that have occurred? So that all of this comes together because they need all this documentation to come together to give them an idea as to, can they get coverage?
Right.
And that's the problem that's
Right,
going on
right,
now.
and if we don't get it out there, because we know how the media is, why they aren't right in there jumping in on this to push it a
help
little
it.
bit, a little
Yeah.
bit
And they don't.
further.
They don't.
No, they don't, and it's like, why is it? I was at the Mad Scientist Tea Party earlier, and it was pretty cool. We were talking about the top 5 media moguls, and it's like, okay, the top 5 media moguls, what do they also own that would prevent them from exposing this? Do they also own stock
Oh,
in
of
the
course.
chemical companies that that was the cause in the beginning?
Yes.
So that's a biggie, and it's like, you guys out there, hey, educate yourself.
And
Education is so important.
But there are things going on that affect you who let's say you've never met a Vietnam veteran in your life. never been around. As far as you know, you've never been near one, you've never talked to one. Yet there are things going on that are going to affect you
Right.
that have nothing to do with Vietnam,
Right.
but they're going on in the environment.
Right.
Autism is the classic example.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when I went through training back in 1960s, autism was recognized in about 1 in every 1,600 children.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's 1 in every 160.
Wow.
Now, probably has nothing to do with Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
but something's going on.
Right. Well, my nephew, he's autistic, and they think it was because of the injections, the immunizations,
Oh.
the MMR, the MMR. She thinks she wasn't quite sure that he had gotten 2 doses of it, and going back and looking at it, that seems to be that they are getting injections, their immunizations as required by law. And you see more and more and more children who are,
Right.
autistic.
And we don't know why.
Probably goes
Right.
back to kids being more sensitive now than they were, maybe, like we were
Well,
talking
that's
about
another.
last week.
Yeah.
So the vaccines might have to
Or
change.
you got it. You got it. You got it. Last week we were talking about children. Oh yeah, you were here.
Oh yeah, thanks. But
Oh,
he was
yeah, that's
busy.
right.
He was busy focusing on our faces.
The thing is that if you go out into rural North Carolina, what is the one medical specialty you will never find is an allergist. But if you go to urban North Carolina, the phone book is filled with allergists, especially pediatric allergists.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah. And an allergist once told me, they said, if you want to put me out of work, just have your kid grow up with a cow in their bedroom.
Wow.
Because they will become exposed to all
Right.
this different stuff
Right.
that is going to make, I'm not going to have a job.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. But
We're gonna go
That's-
home and buy a cow
buy
today.
a cow. That's right.
See, I told you I want to live on the farm.
In
gonna have
fact,
my-
I have some promotional material here.
I'm gonna have
for
my daughter
cows.
pitch a tent at school. There's some cows back there.
That's right. And,
Yeah.
if this is really a movement to save the cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how.
Oh,
we've
is that
gone
how it
full-
works?
We've gone full circle here.
To save
Is
the
that
cows.
the
But wait a
movement?
minute, what about the goats?
Right?
I like goats.
We need them all.
Yes, we need them all. But that's kind of the issue. It has to happen is that for the veterans, is that providing a healthcare system for them, providing some sort of documentation,
Right.
Right.
providing some way to follow up with them so that
Right.
they can make a claim.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you see that man up there
Yes.
on in the suit, in the dark suit? I don't know if you passed other ones. There might be some more. That is the man who
Why is his face
on Forrest Gump.
Right.
Remember when he got shot in the butt?
Yep.
That is the real one. I told you it was going to mix with the film industry. That's Sammy Davis. He is a Medal of Honor recipient.
Oh, he was the one that actually got.
He
the
was
Medal
the
of
one,
Honor.
yeah.
And they used Forrest
That
Gump.
was you got
Okay.
it. You got it. That was his video. That's
Okay.
Sammy Davis. So I told you it was gonna mix with the film industry. What can I say?
See,
yeah.
we stuck to our word.
Yeah, he is such a humble man. He is such a humble man, and yes, you could liken him to Forrest Gump. He is a humble man for the for what he did, and way back when I didn't know, and I had said about he's a Medal of Honor award winner, and it's like, Lisa, it's not an award that you win.
Right. It's from getting hurt.
It's from being valiant in the
And
military. I'm sure that you can tell me more about
Other
that.
people have died because very
Right.
few Medal of Honor winners ever received their medal alive. Most Medal of Honors are awarded posthumously.
Yeah, it's like what
Because they
happened.
were
I
killed
think
in
just
the process.
should get a medal just for going.
Yeah, it's
you
like
do.
coverage
You do.
just for
You-
going.
You get a medal or a ribbon just for going.
Well, I guess that we're still going. Yeah, that was an interesting photo because it was double exposure.
Neat.
But I'm wondering because it's like our show's off. Hey, are we off the air?
Nope, there we are. He clips us off. And
No, because that's
No,
what's
they're back
on.
there.
Yeah.
Are we off?
Are we off the air, Matt?
I think he's just checking the bulletin board.
Oh.
Oh, you mean we're
Whoopsie.
still on? Hey, what can I say?
She's drifting over to the other camera.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I'm drifting to the other camera.
right there.
And that's the great thing. You too can produce your own TV show. If those of you who think that this show is going to be like other talk shows, I hate to tell you, but resentments are like swallowing poison and waiting for someone else to die. Yeah.
That's such a Scorpio, new moon in Scorpio line.
Oh, hey, I'm sorry, but
Resentments.
I don't think that this is going to be a normal. It's not a normal show.
Don't apologize. We're having fun.
Well, okay, I'm telling them, I have an answer to your problem.
Oh, everyone can have their own show.
Everybody can have their own show. You can come down here to URTV. Okay, Google it, look it up in the phone book, and it costs $50 to become a member. And then they're having this really fantastic special offer where it is half price. I mean, to learn the studio.
I might get my own show.
There you go.
I'm kidding.
There you go.
What would I do without you?
I know, really. I don't know what I would do without you either, so don't feel bad. But it's like $50. You can come down. Unless you're an organization, then it's $135. But you become a member, and then for $30. $30.
Right.
I mean, you can't even rent this studio for $30.
Well, I'm going to do it just so I can help. Because
Yeah,
you're doing all the
because you'll learn how to
right.
work all the cameras, how to do the lights, the
I'm
sound.
hugging him.
Yeah, that's Michael J. Martin. He's so cool. Chrissy Noel. They're going to go back over in case you missed the photos the first time. So yeah, if you think that you can do a better job, well, I dare ya. Come on down. How about Carl? You've been in this business for a while.
I've been in the business for a while, and I did my production. I'm glad I did it, but I'm happy to work the cameras and work in the switcher and do that. And there are people here who that's what they want to do. Luckily, Asheville is a town full of people who have their own viewpoints, and they want to communicate those viewpoints. They want to get them across.
Right.
And URTV is a fantastic way to do that. You just have to commit yourself to the time, and then go find crew who will sit here and go through all of this with you, and then be available when you need them, and finding your way, because there are a lot of excellent producers in this town, and a lot of people have their own equipment. They can finish a show right at home, walk in and hand them the finished piece.
That's great.
And other people are saying, like this show right here, there are plenty of people for a good cameraman or a good camera person. I shouldn't. I'm showing my age, but camera person, sound person, is that it doesn't matter what you're talking about.
Right.
That's not the issue for us. It's that the audience can hear you, they can see you, they can understand what you're saying, they can have an appreciation for what you're showing. And what you're talking about is your business.
Right.
It's not the business of the technical crew. The technical crew is to make this look and sound good.
Yeah.
And that's what we want to do.
And speaking of, we have at least one more that's coming on the crew. Zach. I had met him, and he called and said that he's available. So I'm going to meet him on Sunday. And another reason for this show is the importance of service. I like to honor those who serve, working, or who serve in our military forces. But service is many things. Kennedy had said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And service is good for the soul. There's many ways that we can serve other people. We have Thanksgiving coming up. There's, I'm sure, lots of homeless who need fed and need help in feeding those homeless. And then I volunteered for the film industry, so I'm gonna go
Sunday,
in and
right?
on Sunday I had volunteered, so I'm gonna go and the good thing about serving, just not being good for the soul, but there's perks. I get a free T-shirt.
Ooh.
Yeah, for serving on it. So yeah, service is good for the soul.
I think you get to watch one movie too,
Yeah.
don't you?
Yeah, or at least one movie. So yeah, Carl is our master at the helm, and I had talked to him this afternoon, and he was just getting discharged from the hospital. So we are really lucky that he even came and joined us. and it's like being a veteran. You know, it's like, it was so funny because Kim had said, oh, well, why don't you pick up a veteran and bring him to the show?
Because last night I told her, my neighbor's not well. She goes, we'll switch it to the veterans. And I go, well, why don't you go pick up a veteran?
And I was thinking, oh, well, maybe Carl's a veteran. And then
I'm a
it's like,
veteran. Here I
oh,
am.
yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't
Yeah.
miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
So, but I'm glad you're doing this. I'm glad you're doing a show on this. It's good for people to know that these people are out there. A lot of them, their lives have been dramatically changed,
Right.
mentally, physically, both.
Oh, yeah.
And
Right.
some of them just have difficulty getting through the day.
Oh, that I have
Just
found,
getting,
that I have,
getting
have
from breakfast to
found.
lunch can be a real adventure for
Right,
them. And
right,
so,
right.
and it's, the issue is how the military is used is a completely different issue than someone who served in the military.
right,
Because you may not, and that's the argument that's going on about Iraq right now, is that there are a lot of people, there's a lot of discussion about Iraq, whether or not we should or shouldn't be there.
right,
But the issue that you're talking about is we're not asking that question. We're saying there are people who have made a choice for whatever reasons. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's patriotic, it can be social, but they're doing it for their own personal reasons.
Right.
And but it's how the government uses them
Right.
that is the difference between what is good about the military and what is bad. Military is just a tool, it's a hammer.
right,
Unfortunately, to some people, when you only have a hammer, everything in the world is a nail. And that's where we seem to be right at the moment.
yeah. And that was a biggie for me because I really didn't know. And then when I was educated on the issue, and I found out that the way that the law was when I had joined the march, that whenever the sorry about that, guys. Whenever the sorry, I gotta vibrate in my pocket. Whenever, the way the law was, whenever a person was declared missing in action for 1 year, if we had a missing service personnel, you're in the service,
Right.
and you are declared missing in action for 1 year, that you could then be declared left behind, or I'm sorry, then you could be declared dead, left behind, unaccounted for. They did not need any proof in order to, okay, they've been gone a year, they're gone. And that was since World War I, almost 100,000 people had been left behind unaccounted for. And that was, wait a minute, okay, Vietnam was when I was a kid. No, I really didn't, my cousins went in, at the end, and my cousins up in Canada were like disowning us. No, because anyhow,
Right.
that is why I got involved in the march. Okay, wait a minute. What about my kids? If this is what happened in the past, and if nothing is changed, then history will repeat itself. And if my children are drafted or enter the military, I want to make sure that my government is held accountable, for their responsibility, or responsible for
Finding
their
them,
accountability.
finding them.
Right. So after the march, I ended up working at the Wall in Washington, D.C., at the Wall, at the mall, and it was handing out flyers. And it was educating them that we were trying to get Senate Bill 755, the Missing Service Personnel Bill, passed. And it was educating them on, these are the true facts. This is what we're trying to do. We are trying to hold your government, our government of the people, for the people, by the people, responsible for you people.
Find 'em.
And it's like, the majority of the white American, sorry if you guys get offended over what I'm going to say, but this is the truth. The general white American public said no thank you. They didn't even want to hear what I was trying to tell them. And I was like, wait a minute, we're talking about your kids. What about your children? No thank you, I don't want to know. And then we had the foreigners, the foreigners who would come, to
Right. Oh,
Washington,
yeah.
and they would always, talk to me, what are you talking about?
Right.
They wanted to know. And then we had I'm sorry, but black population who it's like free handout, thank you. Free, like I said, this, that's, honest to God, that was my survey of, and I was just like, I can't believe it, and they had the Boy Scout roundup up there, and I'm sure I made a couple of boys pee their pants, but yes, it was me. I'm the one who talked to your children.
So is it still the same or not?
In 1999, they had changed the law to hold them accountable, but it's not exactly what they had wanted. But it's at least holding them accountable. Okay. Well, now you see in the news, you oh, wait a minute, we have some prisoners. Where are they?
Right.
Yes, we are more aware of. Wait a minute, but do we really know? Do we know everybody who's who's missing? And there again, when I worked at the wall, there was a book, and in that book it had proof of 191 people who had reported sightings. Now, this was after 1995. Our government had information that these men were still alive, and they did nothing about it. Yeah, it's really, when you look into it, it's really amazing. And there again, not to say that our government doesn't have a lot of cover-ups, and that's other stories, with like the 3 Mile Island nuclear accident. I was nuked at 3 Mile Island, and I know how the government covered that up. I know that there was something that happened there. The UFOs. We're gonna have Joshua. Joshua, I'm sorry, I just talked to your sister. I can't believe that I can't remember your last name. Joshua Warren.
Warren.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that it was the wrong name, but it
Well, the
came out.
cover-ups, a lot of it is about panic, too, avoiding panic. I mean, it would be nice if it came out in a slow, calm way, but...
But it's like, why lie to the people about the prisoner of war
Oh, that is
missing in
uncalled for,
action? I mean, there's a lot of
right.
people, almost 100,000 that were just, okay, they're gone a year, write them off.
Well,
and that's I don't think it's right. I think that if people are going to serve in our military, then they deserve more than what they're getting now. I really do believe that. And you have some other things to talk about with the war and things like that. And
Well, just, about cancer being our home, our country. And the planet Mars is in Cancer now, which is a really big, not only that it's in Cancer and it goes there every couple of years, but it's going to go retrograding back and forth. So it's all going to be about our security issues, how comfortable we are. And it's not a time to be aggressive at all, because you'll cause a fight. I mean, it'll come right back at you.
well,
So
tell us.
So, more
Tell
us.
Cosmic Kim,
We could go
tell
back.
us about astrology and how it's going to affect us in the near
Sounds
future.
like an opening to me.
Well, the next 6 months, Mars in Cancer, it's starting November 15th, but we're already starting to feel it. It's going to start going retrograde. It'll back into Gemini. But the point is all about how we feel secure. How do we feel safe in our own homes, with our own families, with our country, with the land we live in. So it's going to last, and it's going to go back, and it's really going to stir up a lot of issues. I mean, this is huge, and it just kind of misses the U.S. sun. I mean, a lot of people say it's coming right up to it, thank goodness, because we probably don't need it sitting on top of it. Another interest, besides that, the United States chart that we were born with, everybody
Right.
has a chart. They're progressed Mars, which means they're Mars in our country. The energy is Mars is the warrior. Mars creates wars. You don't want to start a war with Mars in Cancer, but we're already in one. So it's going to bring up all the issues with the war. But it's gone retrograde as of 2006. So for the next 80 years, we should not and better not start another war. We have to do things in a different way. I mean, it's telling our country no more fighting.
It's
really.
it's saying,
It's a
where
really
is
big
our
deal.
Department of Peace?
I mean, people born with Mars in Cancer really have issues with family and siblings. I
Really?
mean, it's a really difficult place to have your energy. Mars wants a fight. In Cancer, it's like, I want to fight with my family. I want to fight with my home. So we're all going to feel this for the next 6 months. But it's not just about your individual homes. It's really going to stir up issues, emotional
With the United
issues.
States?
Well, our homes and our country.
Yeah.
And if we feel safe, and are we taken care of? So a lot of stuff is going to come out about
And that's
that.
in
And
the
even-
next 6 months?
Oh yeah, it's going to last because it's going to go slowly retrograding back and forth. So that's why you really feel it this time. This is really trying to tell us something.
Because
about
it's
that.
it's retrograde going back. Explain
It goes
what retrograde is.
Retrograde. It does, and it sounds like the planet stops and starts moving backwards, but all it does is really, it's just the way it seems in the Earth. It just slows down. but it's a feeling of going over something, like really not aggressive at all. I mean, Mars wants to take off, and it's saying, "Oh no!" But in Cancer, it's really going to stir up stuff. It's really going to help us fix all our family issues. I mean, old emotional patterns.
Okay, so you're
All of
seeing
that's
it
coming up.
more as if it's brought to the surface, then we have a
Right.
chance to fix things.
Exactly. That's what its purpose is. When something goes retrograde, it's to go over it. Like we were saying, Mercury retrograde, it was how we think. It's our routine, Mercury.
Right.
But Mars is our energy. It's our warrior power. It's aggression. It's physical. It's all of those things. So in Cancer is all about, are we secure? So it's really going to come up big time. We're already starting to feel it. And plus the fact that the country's progressed Mars, first time in its lifetime of being born since 1776, is retrograding. That's huge.
Oh, this
for
is the
80
first.
years.
This is the
yeah,
first,
I mean,
for
it's
80
going to
years
last.
it has not retrograded.
No, it's going to last for 80 years. Well, I guess it must have then if it takes. Because usually when somebody's born with Mars retrograde in their 40, it depends on where it is. I don't want to confuse people. That's too complicated. Just the point is, Mars in our country's chart is retrograding as of '06. It takes a while.
Okay, now are you saying the next 6 months? I've heard you say the next 6 months. I've heard you say 80 years.
Okay.
What's
okay?
the...
I brought up two different topics.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, bring it up, girl.
Multitasking.
In the sky right now, the planet Mars is in Cancer.
Okay.
Okay? And that is going to last for the next 6 months until the exact. It starts going direct in January, but until March, where it really hits and comes out of it.
Okay.
Cancer is when we're really going to feel it. So when it goes retrograde, you go over all the old stuff in the country. Are we feeling safe at home? It's also affected the U.S. dollar. That's why it's at its lowest right now, because if you look at the charts, it's in the money house of our chart. So that's why the U.S. dollar is lower than it's ever been before. That's why real estate, I mean, all of it is affected by Mars and Cancer. It's about our homes. The fires happening all over the place are, Mars is fire and Cancer, homes, Mars, and I mean, it really, really, really works.
Right.
So over the next 6 months, we're really going to feel it personally and as our country. But another huge thing is the country's chart since 1776. Everyone's born with Mars somewhere. Our country has Mars in Gemini. And it's gone all the way up, and it's retrograding for I believe it's the first time, but I don't want to say that for sure. But anyhow, it's retrograding. So it's saying you can no longer start wars. You cannot start a
So
war.
what happens if...
So now we have to learn a different way of dealing with things. So this is really all about changing the way we do things. So it's really going to change.
So now is when we should really push for that Department of Peace.
Right. But, when things happen in the sky, it really starts to work as a group. We've been heading that way, and then the country's birth chart's now saying it's time.
So do you foresee anything that people should be on guard about, that they should...
Well, don't be aggressive. I mean, don't fight back right now. I mean, really, work on your old wounds, old emotional wounds. It's not about being aggressive now. It's about doing things in a different way.
Trying
talking
something
it
different.
out, working it
because
out.
if
right.
nothing changes, nothing changes.
You can't fight,
History
because
repeats
fighting
itself.
this Mars retrograde is not the time to fight at all. And our country now is in a position not to fight for the next 80 years.
Wow.
That's big.
Peace.
Finding a new way of doing it.
Peace. That would be so amazing.
I mean, it's saying, I guess if there's somebody out there attacking us, we'll just have to find a better way to deal with it.
But then what about those who make a fortune off of
Well, you're always going to
war?
find someone trying to break the rules. I mean, you're going to, find someone during the 6 months who wants to fight with you. But let them be the ones to start it. You don't want to start
Right.
it. Because when the person that starts it is it's going to come right back at them. Retrograde, boom, right at you. It's like punching someone, getting hit with it, a boomerang. That's
So
basically
that's that
it.
threefold law.
Right.
Hey, man, if you're going to be attacking them, well, then don't be surprised if it's
Right.
coming right back at you.
Right, and really get prepared, finances, money. Well, this whole Scorpio thing going on, too, is all about your finances. And are you in control of your life? Who has control over you? Trying not to be a controlling person, to allow, to have control of your life, but not control it, as we do with this show,
Whoa.
right?
Well, that's living divine. I
Right.
mean, yeah, that's how we do this show. It's like we make plans. We plan. This is what we're going to do.
Right.
But we also let go. Okay.
Well, somebody has a better plan.
You got
and
it.
I believe you were a way better plan.
Well,
Yeah.
one of these days the show will go the way you planned it. But
You think?
But in the meantime, you're having a great time.
We
Oh,
are.
that's what we're having
And
fun.
that's what,
And that's what
what
well
it's all about.
I hope that's why you came down to have fun,
Absolutely. I enjoy this show.
to make you
Yeah.
to make you feel better. I mean, it was a surprise to see
Yeah,
it.
I
It was
enjoy
so
this show. I
great.
enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
So I'll let you get on with your show.
Oh,
Do that. And,
you could tell us how you served.
um,
Know what you?
I was a corpsman. I was a medic in the Air Force, and I was not in Vietnam. I was in Europe. I was in Germany.
Yeah.
And we spent, we were sitting there preparing for the Russians to come down and take over Europe. And now the Russians are moving into Germany and moving into the housing that the American military used to live in when they were defending Germany against the Russians.
Wow.
So don't ever think life is going to go
Just as you
the way-
planned.
Yeah, it was just as we planned.
Wow.
So all of these large communities that are multiplexes, 3-story walk-ups,
Right.
that were for American military families, are now being occupied by German or Russian families who can claim at least one grandparent is a German descendant,
Wow.
and so they can leave Russia, move to Germany, and they're moving into the old American housing facilities.
Okay.
So
So Germany is welcoming them, or these military families? What's
no,
the
they're-
deal?
They're people who want to get out of Russia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there are people who want to get out of an economy that is having problems. They're looking for opportunity, which is why most people move.
Right.
Contrary to what everybody thinks, the immigrants are not running around the country trying to destroy what they're moving to.
Right.
Most immigrants want what we all want. They want a roof over their heads. They want
Right.
schools for their
Things
kids.
we
they
take
want
for granted.
Food on their table.
Things we
They
take for
do.
granted.
Can you blame them, really?
And that's what they're going to Germany for. Is Germany
Right.
has shown they have a good economy. They swallowed all of East Germany, and they've come back. They've come through that, and they've managed to be successful as to taking in an entire economy that was state-based, state-controlled, and turned it into an economy that is driven by more of a private market system, and they have enough money to support a social system that can do it. Now they have their problems because there are a lot of immigrants there who are not German mainstream, who have come from the Middle East, Turkey especially, and there's a large anti-immigrant movement in Germany, but there's also a large pro-immigrant movement in Germany.
Right.
And so it depends on who you affiliate with and
Right.
which one you want to go with. But there's no one is good and one is bad. It's just these people represent different ways of thinking.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Well-
everyone's got their issues.
Yeah. Well, do we have a chart for the world?
The world?
Yeah,
Oh, I
that's
didn't bring a world chart. I brought the
That's a good
United States
question.
chart.
Do
Well,
we
we have it. I mean,
does the Earth have a chart? I mean, is there a
Well,
chart that could be?
when
What an interesting question.
that is a really good question.
Yeah.
Could you prepare me for these questions? I'll
And
have to research
could that be the Mayan calendar and the Hopis that have predicted their?
The
There are
2012
chart like the
Yeah.
state of North Carolina is a Scorpio state, so you are going to deal with people can transform their whole lives when they move here. That's Scorpio, but it's
Right.
also all the little, and the power and the control. I mean, it's big in North Carolina, and then different cities have their chart. So I'll have
Right.
to bring the chart of Asheville and
So
we'll talk
Asheville
about
has
that.
its own chart.
Yes, it does. I
Whereas-
happen to know Charlotte's a Scorpio city in a Scorpio state,
Okay.
but I have to.
Hendersonville would
I
have
was-
a different chart. Than,
Right, exactly,
than-
because they're born.
Right.
They do a chart for the time they're
Okay.
born. It's really fascinating
Okay.
how it works, and that's what would draw certain people to a certain area.
Yeah.
Right, and that's what we want to explain, how you can use astrology in your life, how you can better understand how things work around you,
Right.
using the solar system.
Right, using the energies for the better, because everyone can do the side of it. It's good to see. Right now, even with Mars and Cancer, heal your family issues, feel secure, don't blame everybody for it. If they come up, deal with them. It's not cutting them off and, Mars is a machete, so it's going to activate a lot of family stuff for everybody.
So don't be
it's-
surprised.
Don't be
for
surprised.
the next 6
right,
months.
right, and heal
if
it. You
there's-
can't heal, but feelings buried alive never die.
Yeah.
So we have
Luckily,
to
there's
feel
none of
them.
that in my family, so I don't.
What do you mean?
There's no feelings in my family.
No feelings.
No, no.
Guess what? The ones don't have any. They're the biggest problem. Believe me, I know people that I used to not feel. It was a way easier way to deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not real.
Don't tell me that.
And, oh no, how did he get away with it all this time?
Well,
Yeah.
you wait until
I've
you
lived on
come
top
back
of it. It's
from
been a
your.
wonderful existence.
Oh wow, I gotta get his wife out here. Let's really hear.
Yeah, really. When you come back from your family holiday,
Yeah.
then we're gonna talk again,
Okay.
and then we'll see if.
We're gonna meet you in March. I
Okay.
want to hear all about.
Oh well,
this.
he's gonna be
Before
here way
No,
with
way
us.
before that. But
But
when
he's going away next week. He's not gonna be here next week
Oh,
either.
okay.
Yeah. And then over the Christmas holidays, we're going to be in going to Hong Kong and Bangkok. So,
Wow.
Oh wow.
so you'll have to do me a chart for Hong Kong.
Well,
and
what you
Bangkok.
do is,
Because they're big on that over there.
No,
I
no,
mean,
you
that,
don't.
that is
Well,
major.
that's-
That is major stuff.
Right.
if you want to plan your trip, you do the chart for the moment you walk out your door for the trip to see what the whole trip is going to be like.
Okay, for the moment you walk out the door.
So
Right.
you tell
It's like,
just
not your plane
give her-
tickets, not when you get on the plane, not when you go here. It's the moment you shut the door. She can plan that.
So you physically sit
Right.
there with your stopwatch,
Uh-huh.
and you go,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
5, 4,
It's
3, 2,
true.
click, we're leaving. Okay,
I mean,
slam.
don't
Yeah.
worry, I'm not that insane. I don't live
Yeah,
like this
okay.
always. But you know what I like better than trying to plan it sometimes? Well, a big trip like that, I would
Yeah.
kind of work it out. So you want a better time than most. But I love to look afterward. Like, it's so neat to look and go, oh my gosh, that was so perfect. I mean, the first line that came out of our
Living
mouths, and it
divine.
was the new moon in Scorpio, and it was very scorpionic, and then your little thing popped up on the screen. I mean, that's the neat part about it.
Okay.
You know, because everything has been hitting, nobody wants to be in a war anymore. This is
No.
obvious.
No.
So,
Well, it's not solving anything.
right, so now that's why it's time to
Yeah.
be done with it. I think, I believe that this is where the energies are now. We all want to be one. You know,
Yeah.
that's it. We're all one soul. We're just
That's
light.
it. That's it. Oh,
When are we going to get it?
Okay, well, we're going to go back. I know that sometimes we don't always get the things in. So, this is Glolady TV. It is produced in cooperation with URTV over here in Asheville, North Carolina, and I am the producer. And you can contact me at Glolady TV, GLOLADY TV at Yahoo. MySpace, Glolady TV. And then we have Cosmic Kim. Cosmic Kim is my co-host, and you can contact cosmickim.com, KOSMIC.
KIM.
There we go. I was going to do the Mickey Mouse. But that's how to get a hold of us, because just in case we don't, get in there, because I know that we're cutting down to time. Time-wise is coming up soon. This is my magic well, my magic spring. Yeah, that was
Went
such a
up in-
magic
That's a
spring.
nice background shot. I like that show.
That was so
You
neat
used it a
because
lot last week just as a
yeah. Oh,
we
and then
held
here
in
we
the chat.
have my magic carpet ride. So I hate to tell you guys, but it's about time.
I'm getting on the carpet.
I had a great. Oh, hey Carl, we'll see you later.
Okay, so you're going
Girl,
on.
you're on your own. Bye. You're
leaving
off
me-
to Hong
all right,
Kong.
You're leaving me with the show. Okay, thank you very much for showing up.
I won't see you next week. I have
All
to
right.
work.
It's all
Cosmic
me.
Kim. Thanks,
I'll
guys.
make sense. I'll try to
I
make
had
sense.
fun.
I think we're out. Yeah. Cool.
You did great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was good.